The morning I walked out to my own creek and found 6 people I had never met in my life standing in the water with fishing poles. I knew exactly what was happening. I knew because the HOA president had warned me. 3 weeks earlier, she had looked me dead in the eyes across a folding table in a church meeting room and told me, "That creek belongs to this community, and it always has." She was wrong. She had been wrong the entire time. She just didn't know it yet. And by the time this was over, every single one of those 6 people standing in my creek would be holding a citation for criminal trespass. The HOA president would be facing a formal complaint with the state, and I would be standing on my own land, legally, completely, and permanently for the first time since I moved in. This is the story of how I bought property with private creek access rights, how my HOA tried to steal those rights in broad daylight, and how I used nothing but paperwork, patience, and property law to dismantle their entire case piece by piece. My real estate agent flagged it immediately. She said, "This is unusual. This property includes riparian rights to the creek. It was written into the deed. It was recorded with the county. It was unambiguous." I closed on that house knowing, in writing, on record, signed and sealed, that the creek was mine. Most welcome letters are fine. This one was fine too, mostly tucked. The bottom, almost like an afterthought, was a line that said, "The community's natural water feature is a shared amenity maintained for all." Residents, the HOA president's name was Karen Mitchell. She had apparently lived in this development since it was built, served on the HOA board for 11 of those years, and ran those board meetings like she was presiding over a small nation. One of my neighbors, a retired postal worker named Arthur, who lived 4 houses down, put it the most plainly. He said, "That woman has never been told no by anyone in this neighborhood. Not once." She said, "We're so glad you're here." I just want to mention, for everyone's benefit, that the creek access is a community resource. I sat there, in my folding chair, with a very calm and very clear feeling in my stomach. This was not over. Then February arrived. I got a letter. Official HOA letterhead, board signatures at the bottom, informing me that the creek constituted a common area natural feature, subject to HOA oversight. He said they are trying to use HOA language to override a recorded property deed. That is not how property law works. He wrote a formal response letter on my behalf. It was 3 pages long. It cited the specific deed recording, the survey, the state property code provisions, and 2 relevant case citations. We sent it certified mail. Their HOA attorney sent a letter arguing that the deed language granting riparian rights had been added in a subsequent transaction without proper HOA board approval. He pulled the original recorded plat from the county recorder's office. The original plat did not designate the creek as an environmental buffer zone. It designated it as a natural boundary feature. On the 2nd Saturday in July, I woke up at 7 in the morning, made coffee, walked to my back window, and there were 6 people standing in my creek, fishing. I went to my binder. I took out a copy of the deed. I took out the cease and desist letter. I took out my phone and started recording video. Walked out the back door, across my yard, and I stood at the edge of my property, calmly, no raised voice, and I said, "Good morning. I want to let you know that you are on private property." One of the men said the HOA said this was community access. Karen said we could use the creek. I said an HOA cannot grant permission to use private property that the HOA does not own. If you remain after being asked to leave, I will contact the sheriff. So I did. I went inside, called the non-emergency line for the county sheriff's department, explained the situation clearly, told them I had documentation of private property ownership. 2 deputies arrived within 40 minutes. I met them at the front door with my binder. One of the deputies said, "So, this is recorded as private property?" I said, "Yes, sir." Recorded with the county, he confirmed that the property deed designated private riparian rights. He explained that regardless of what the HOA had communicated, the legal property owner had asked them to leave, and they had refused, which met the definition of criminal trespass under state law. 6 citations were issued, 1 per person. Later that afternoon, I received a voicemail from Karen. She was not calm. She said this was an outrage that I had weaponized law enforcement against the community. I saved that voicemail. I added it to the folder. We filed the complaint the following week. It included every document, both sides of the correspondence. The original plat, the deed, the citations, the voicemail. The state investigator contacted me within 3 weeks. She was thorough. She reviewed everything. 2 months later, I received a formal letter from the HOA board. Not from Karen, from the board secretary, stating that the creek did not fall within the jurisdiction of the community's common areas. It also stated that Karen Mitchell had stepped down from her position as HOA president. Then I walked out to my backyard, down to the edge of the creek, and I sat there for about 20 minutes because it was mine, documented, defended, and permanently on record. HOA drama neighbor. Know your rights. Protect your land. Don't back down.